What if I told you that one of the most misunderstood symbols in history has a story? That will completely blow your mind. Forget everything you think you know. This five-pointed star isn't what it seems. We're about to journey back thousands of years to uncover the real, secret history of the pentagram. And trust me, it's a story full of mathematics, magic, and massive misunderstandings. Let's start our journey way back, around 3500 BC, in ancient Mesopotamia. This is where we find the first known use of the pentagram. The Sumerians, who were incredible astronomers and mathematicians, used it as a logogram, a symbol representing a word. For them, it meant things like corner, angle, or nook. It was a practical, everyday symbol, often found etched into clay tablets. There was nothing spooky about it. It was simply part of their written language. From Mesopotamia, the symbol traveled, making its way to ancient Babylon, where it began to take on more mystical meanings, often associated with the 5 planets they could see in the sky: Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and Venus. Now, let's jump forward to ancient Greece, where the pentagram truly began to shine. The famous mathematician and philosopher Pythagoras and his followers, the Pythagoreans, saw the pentagram as a symbol of mathematical perfection and harmony. They were fascinated by its geometric properties. You see, the lines of a pentagram intersect to create a perfect golden ratio, a mathematical constant that appears all throughout nature, from the spiral of a seashell to the shape of galaxies. For the Pythagoreans, the pentagram was a symbol of truth, of the underlying order of the universe. They called it Hugeia, which means health, and used it as a secret sign to recognize each other. It represented the 5 classical elements: earth, air, fire, water, and the 5th element, ether or spirit, which they believed filled the cosmos. So, in ancient Greece, the pentagram was a symbol of health, knowledge, and cosmic balance. As we move into the medieval period, the pentagram's positive reputation continued. In early Christianity, it was actually a symbol of Christ. The 5 points were sometimes said to represent the 5 wounds of Jesus on the cross. It was seen as a protective charm, a talisman to ward off evil spirits and demons. Knights of the medieval era, like Sir Gawain in the famous poem Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, wore the pentagram on their shields. For Gawain, the 5 points represented 5 virtues: generosity, courtesy, chastity, chivalry, and piety. It was a symbol of a noble knight's code of conduct. So for centuries, from the early church to the chivalric orders, the pentagram was a powerful symbol of good, a sign of protection and divine connection. So when did this all change? How did a symbol of health, mathematics, and divine protection become associated with something dark? The big shift really started in the 19th century, during the occult revival. A French occultist named Eliphas Levi is a key figure in this story. In his influential book, Transcendental Magic, Its Doctrine and Ritual, published in 1854, Levi was the one who first made a major distinction between a pentagram pointing up and one pointing down. Levi claimed that the upright pentagram, with one point at the top, represented the spirit ruling over the 4 elements of matter. This, he said, was a symbol of order, of the divine, and of humanity reaching for the heavens. It was the good pentagram. But, he argued, if you invert the pentagram, with 2 points at the top and 1 at the bottom, it symbolizes the triumph of matter over spirit. It becomes a representation of the profane, of subversion, and of base instincts. He famously linked this inverted pentagram to the head of a goat, which he associated with Baphomet, a figure that came from the lore surrounding the Knights Templar. It's important to remember that this was Levi's personal interpretation. It wasn't based on ancient history. It was a new idea he introduced. But his writings were incredibly popular, and this dualistic concept of upright is good, inverted is bad started to spread like wildfire through occult circles. This new, darker association was cemented in the public imagination in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, often fueled by sensationalist literature and the burgeoning film industry. But the symbol's modern notoriety truly exploded in the 1960s. Anton Lavey, the founder of the Church of Satan, adopted the inverted pentagram, specifically the one with a goat's head inside known as the Sigil of Baphomet. as the official emblem of his organization. Levi used it as a symbol of rebellion, individualism, and a rejection of traditional religious authority. This act, more than any other, permanently linked the inverted pentagram with Satanism in pop culture. Following this, the Satanic panic of the 1980s went into overdrive. News reports and talk shows, often lacking factual evidence, linked the pentagram to supposed secret cults and ritualistic crimes. Heavy metal bands, embracing the shock value, started using the symbol in their artwork and on their merchandise. Hollywood movies used it as a go-to prop to signal that something evil was afoot. The pentagram, both upright and inverted, became a shorthand for demonic forces in the popular consciousness, completely overshadowing its thousands of years of positive and neutral history. So where does that leave the pentagram today? Well, its meaning is now incredibly diverse and often depends entirely on who you ask. For many people, especially due to media portrayals, it remains a symbol of evil. But for many others, it has been reclaimed. In modern pagan and Wiccan traditions, the upright pentagram, or pentacle when enclosed in a circle, is a primary religious symbol. Much like the Pythagoreans, they see it as representing the four classical elements of earth, air, fire, and water, all topped and governed by the fifth element of spirit. It's a symbol of balance, protection, and a connection to the natural world. For Wiccans, wearing a pentacle is no different than a Christian wearing a cross or a Jewish person wearing a Star of David. It is a sacred expression of their faith. Meanwhile, ceremonial magicians and other esoteric groups continue to use the pentagram in their rituals for various purposes, from invocation to protection, often drawing on the interpretations of figures like Levi. And of course, it still appears in art, fashion, and media, sometimes for its historical significance, sometimes for its spiritual meaning, and sometimes just because it looks cool and edgy. The pentagram's journey is a powerful lesson in how a symbol's meaning can be transformed, co-opted, and misunderstood over time. It shows how context is everything. A symbol that once represented mathematical perfection, health, and divine protection was turned into a symbol of fear, largely through the interpretations of one man and the power of modern media. From a simple Mesopotamian word to a Greek symbol of perfection, a medieval Christian emblem of protection, a 19th century occult diagram, and a 20th century sign of rebellion and faith, the pentagram has worn many masks. Its story is a complex tapestry woven through human history, reflecting our changing beliefs about mathematics, the cosmos, and the nature of good and evil itself. So the next time you see a pentagram, maybe you'll see more than just a simple star. You'll see thousands of years of history, a symbol that has meant so many different things to so many different people. It's a reminder that symbols only have the power we give them. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of history's most fascinating symbols. If you found this journey as intriguing as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the hidden histories that shape our world. Drop a comment below and let me know what other symbols you like to see uncovered. Until next time, stay curious.